And for people who don't have a choice, like construction workers, that heat can be dangerous very quickly. Highway technician Brad Starling says the biggest threats aren't just the sun, it's what the heat does to your body. Heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and dehydration can hit fast when you're working on asphalt and concrete. Even on the hottest days, crews still have to do the jobs with traffic rushing by. Crews focus on hydration and taking breaks before symptoms get serious. Starling says it starts early, prepping the day before and pacing yourself on the job. If someone starts showing signs of heat exhaustion, Starling says they'll stop work and get that person cooled down fast.
Some things we can do is stay hydrated, not only during our work schedule, but it can start as early as the day before. Try not to overexert yourself. You may want to consider pacing yourself, take frequent breaks. If you can find it, trying to maybe find a spot in the shade where you can just take a break.
He says crews watch out for each other because it's easy to push through until it becomes an emergency. Extreme heat can also impact equipment and even road materials that expand and cause problems on the roadway. When possible, crews may shift harder manual work to earlier in the day before peak heat. Starling says that in these temperatures, a few seconds of inattention in a work zone can turn dangerous for everyone, so give crews room to work.